Welcome to the start of our big 3-week look at Harry Mudd. Yes, all 3 episodes. Such a grand enterprise that, when I hinted at its coming, it was suggested that this would be coming in March and would be called March Muddness. Please. I hope you all know me better than that by now, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Holy guacamudly! SF Debris presents a Mudsummer Night's Dream Harry Mudd Mudathon! It's not the heat, it's the humidity! Mudd's Women takes us back to the early days of TOS, when the crystals were lithium instead of dilithium, people were still settling into the right uniform colors, and Gene was still trying to get his sexual fantasies turned into an hour of television at NBC's expense. Mudd's Women, as a concept, went all the way back to the series proposal, and when the time came for a pilot, it was one that Gene thought should be given a chance. They went with the cage, thankfully. When that was rejected and a new pilot was needed, it was again one Gene thought should be given a chance. And again cooler heads saw reason, and they went with Where No Man Has Gone Before. But it was inevitable. Shatner said it was a minor miracle this episode ever got made, given the subject matter, but I think he underestimates how much Gene wants to look at hot chicks. The episode begins with the Enterprise pursuing an unidentified ship, no markings, and rather anxious to escape since Scotty notes that crazy pilot is pushing the ship well past its limits. It then heads into an asteroid field, no doubt while saying, "Nothing bad can possibly happen to me, especially irony." The ship's engines soon burn out and is left adrift with so much asteroid activity they're going to get smashed, unless the Enterprise stretches its shields around it first. But from this distance, Scotty insists they'll overload their own engines trying that. But Kirk always has to be the big damn hero, so he does it anyway, while sending Scotty down to the transporter to rescue whatever idiot's on board. It won't be easy. The lights are going out as circuits burn out from the strain, and the people on the other ship are refusing hails, making Scotty's job that much more difficult, like trying to build a house of cards while riding a unicycle. I'd normally add while drunk, but with Scotty that's like adding while awake. Spock's gone down to help and McCoy is on hand because, as we've established, he's got nothing better to do most of the time. Milling about seems to be part of his official duties. Nice outfit. What are you, a space pimp? He introduces himself as Captain Leo Walsh and says there's 3 more ready to be beamed over. Not easy on battery power. Knew we shouldn't have gone with the generic brand, but the Duracells are $1 more, and it always feels like you're throwing your money away. With the ship hit by an asteroid and breaking up, it's now or never, but Scotty manages to beam them onto the pads intact. Oh, I apologize. I guess Walsh really is a space pimp. The trio of men are so enamored that they miss Kirk's call from the bridge, wanting to know if they had rescued the crew.
Bridge to transporter room. How many did we get off?
Well, I'm sure Gene got off for one. Kirk demands to see them, just because he's pissed off and wants answers, though I'm sure it's standing orders that Kirk gets to see any pretty girl that comes on board. On the way, Walsh makes note that Spock's a Vulcan and tells the girls not to waste their charms on him. They'll need them for the captain after all. Yep, it doesn't take much to bring Kirk to silence, not when boobs are involved, but eventually Kirk finds his tongue and asks if this is Walsh's crew.
No, Captain. This is me cargo.
The word you're looking for is passengers. I don't think it's very politically correct to have to refer to people in a different way than you refer to a pallet of Hawaiian shirts. Except, of course, that was Gene's intent. From the very beginning of his discussion of the episode, the women being brought out here to find husbands were, quote, cargo, like he's into human trafficking or something. The episode was written by Stephen Candle, although his primary contribution to the story was the character of Harry Mudd. The rest was Gene being Gene. He went into great detail about how he wanted the story to go, and Candle turned that into a script fused with his idea for Harry Mudd. As with The Last Outpost, the staff had a real problem with the show, trying to get Gene to stop creating his own personal stroke material and come up with an actual filmable episode. Kirk takes a moment to fill a log entry about how these ladies are totally hot, and that it's affecting the male members of the crew. Walsh immediately figures the best defense is a good offense, claiming he had no way to know this was a Starfleet vessel and was just protecting the honor of these 3 ladies and all that. Kirk's naturally hearing none of that and is preparing to hold a trial for Captain Walsh's actions. But the men are mesmerized with Sulu having to lead Farrell back to his seat. Can't imagine why Sulu wasn't as affected by the beautiful women. Let's move on. Walsh confers with the ladies in front of the guards who won't leave, telling them not to submit to a medical scan and reminding them when Eve calls him Harry that his name is Walsh. Scotty's up on the bridge bitching over Walsh. The Enterprise is on its last lithium crystal and that one already has a crack in it.
But it's frustrating. Almost 1 million gross tons of vessel depending on a hunk of crystal the size of my fist.
It's nowhere near that size, actually, but one thing Scotty loves to do, it's exaggerate. Everything is bigger, more massive, gonna take longer. It probably has a lot of disappointed girlfriends. Spock suggests heading to Rigel 12. There's a lithium mine there, and it's only 2 days away. It's either that or call a space tow truck. But now it's time for the hearing about Captain Walsh. Hopefully, that'll go smoothly.
State your name for the record.
Leo Francis Walsh.
Incorrect.
Well, that's off to a promising start. Eventually he admits he's Harry Mudd and he has a record. Smuggling, transport of stolen goods, purchasing a space vessel with counterfeit currency, and having a mustache far too curly for this century. He was traveling as Captain Walsh because the good captain kinda sorta died, and Harry's license was revoked on account of being a brigand and troublemaker. As for the ladies, scans show nothing unusual about them, although the men all have a serious case of the awooga, awooga, yeah. Harry insists he's just delivering them as wives on some distant planet, and they're doing so voluntarily, coming from places where there's no available men for them to hook up with. Eve is particularly unhappy about this trial. Harry's helping them escape the lives they hated, while Kirk is hauling them in the wrong direction.
Staring at us like we were Saturnius harem girls or something.
Hey, if you didn't want to be ogled, you shouldn't have been born a woman. That's on you. Kirk plans to turn Harry Mudd into the authorities for his various violations of the rules regarding flying starships. Poor dumb Harry. But Eve wants to know what the hell will happen to her. But Kirk's got bigger problems as the last crystal just gave out. Scotty would normally give the report, but he was too busy checking out the hot chicks during the trial to be bothered with things like the ship being on its last legs. Harry Mudd overhears the things about the lithium miners and figures this is perfect. The girls can marry the stinking rich miners, and by the time they're finished, Harry will be running this ship. Inexplicably, the guards are in the room and there to hear the whole thing, but apparently they never decided to tell Kirk about any of this. Then again, the way the men have been acting this episode, it wouldn't surprise me if the only thing they're hearing is breast, 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 butts, 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 breast, 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 butts, 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 breasts, butts. The ladies start deploying weaponized sexy all over the place.
Would you walk past my panel again, please?
And talk dirty. Make sure to talk dirty, too. Kirk discovers Eve waiting on his bed when he returns to his quarters, which makes him very worried. He doesn't want people to think he's a slut after all. This is Kirk, though, so eventually the girl just has to wind up in his arms. It's like when someone is shot on an elevated surface. Eventually, they're tumbling over the edge. It's magnets or something. She finally breaks down, though. Unlike the others, she can't stand trying to manipulate these people. She just wants to get her flipping husband and not have to wash canal muck off the floor anymore. This is getting irritating.
I asked for a pre-orbital course, Mr. Farrell.
Boobies! I mean, yes, sir. Kirk tells them to kindly stop thinking about women for 5 minutes and get on with their frickin' jobs. But then heads over to Bones to ask what the deal is. Why are they all so obsessed with these ladies all of a sudden? If this keeps up, Kirk's going to demand a blonde yeoman with big breasts. Bones tries speculating on it, bringing up that maybe it's not the women are beautiful so much as they act beautiful, something he himself quickly dismisses as being off the mark, but plants the seeds for the conclusion. They are using performance-enhancing drugs, because in their quarters the ladies start looking uglier while Harry desperately searches for his stash. Drugs, I mean. He always knows where that stash is. It's off making him look good. The other two are quick to take theirs when he finds it, but Eve has to be talked into it. But she does in the end. The drugs, not the mustache. With the last of the crystals burnt out, Kirk is relieved to meet with the chief of the miners to discuss purchasing some lithium crystals. But Harry Mudd had swiped a communicator and already contacted the miners. So Childress here says that he doesn't want to sell the crystals. He wants to swap them for Mudd's women, and also for all charges against Harry Mudd to be dropped. Childress has Kirk over a barrel, but Kirk points out, you're a long way from civilization, which means sooner or later Starfleet's going to have to help you and your miners when you're over a barrel. That is, if he tries to bully Kirk into letting Mudd go. But with only 3 days of orbit left, Kirk's problems are far more immediate than some nebulous possible future medical need they might suffer or something. Leaving aside the fact that with lithium being so essential, Starfleet can't really allow anything to happen to the Rigel miners anyway. No sense screwing themselves over just to spite a few horny miners. So Kirk comes down, chokes down his pride, and says he'll capitulate. But Childress wants to get his game on first. Eve's the only one who's not dancing with somebody, but she's not really in the mood for it right now. So Childress tries to grab one of the others, and eventually a fight breaks out, and Eve runs off into the storm, upset that she's so unwanted they have to fight to see who gets stuck with her. The landing party returns to the Enterprise to scan for her, but the storm isn't making that easy, and Scotty points out it's further draining their batteries, which wouldn't be a problem if they'd just gotten the crystals. Kirk goes off on him with basically, what do you want me to say? I screwed up? Fine! I screwed up! Happy, asshole? Then he apologizes. He's under strain. Not to mention it sucks when a simple trade mission and dealing with hot chicks, two things that Kirk excels at, combine to make him fail so badly. Well, not to worry, Childress found her and brought her back to his place, and when he comes to, she's already making some breakfast. They get along like they're already married, by which I mean they bicker over every single little thing. Her looks have gone as well. The drugs are wearing off, I guess. Kirk shows up with Harry Mudd. He is cajoled into explaining about the Venus drug, that it gives you more of whatever you have. So without it, you look, well, like this. Eve gives a speech about how this drug is not real, and then takes it, looking gorgeous again.
Not a wife to cook and sew and cry and need. This kind.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Selfish, vain, useless. Is this what you really want?
What was the question? Well, the joke's on them. That wasn't the drug. It was gummy bears or something. And she still looks hot after all that. Apparently McCoy was basically right, that they looked beautiful because they acted beautiful. The drug made them behave in such a way. As for the ugliness that it fixed, perhaps that was meant to be shown as an exaggerated symbolic reference to the ugliness that they felt about themselves. I don't know. I think all Gene really cared about was getting close-up shots of asses in tight dresses. Well, knowing that, I guess they've worked out their differences and she'll be marrying him. And the miner is so satisfied that apparently the condition of Harry Mudd being released is, well, so let's just say it sucks for him. But if that's the price for us to draw the curtain on this episode, so long, Harry. Enjoy turning big rocks into small ones. Post-episode follow-up. Annoying character goes to Farrell. No wonder Kirk's going to replace you with a Russian in a wig. All scores are relative to the series, so final score for Mudd's Women is 3 out of 10. The only redeeming parts of this episode are some interesting directing work and the character of Harry Mudd. Given what his function is, Candel's script and Carmel's performance do a good job of keeping him from crossing the line into creepy asshole territory that you would expect from it. One important part being that, besides the stupid insistence Gene had of calling women cargo, he doesn't look at them as pieces of meat like the rest of the men do. He hopes to profit from all of this, sure, but he takes serious offense when it's suggested that he's taking anyone against their will, and when he confirms in person with Kirk that Childress rescued Eve, he shows genuine, quiet relief that she is all right. And based on his tone, I don't believe that it's for business reasons, but a genuine concern for her well-being. While he's an adversary to our heroes, he has layers to him that make him a more complicated foe than he seems, and flaws that make him interesting and fun. But besides that, this episode is often repetitive, goes nowhere, and gets tedious. And that's not taking into account the way women are treated this episode, which is pretty awful. The only hope they seem to have is of becoming wives to some rich guy, rather than considering trying to make their own way in the galaxy, and basically dividing women into two categories: soft, fragile chore doers, or conniving, vain bitches. And what's so great about being stinking rich if you have to live on the ass end of nowhere anyway? If you were a billionaire on condition that you lived your entire life in a gas station, that'd be rather pointless, wouldn't it? Marrying into this money is a move up only if you're holding the chart upside down. Well, Harry Mudd was too popular to be left in a Federation prison, so he'll be back next week with I, Mudd.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
These women have a mysterious magnetic effect on the male members of my crew.